Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. And the Royal Challengers Bangalore have beaten the Gujarat Titans by 8 wickets and have secured their 8th win of the season. In theory, they're still alive in the playoffs race. Do I think it will work in real life? Well, no. I just think that I can't see DC stumbling against an MI side that, yes, have been showing some good signs in their last few games, but they are still placed at the bottom of the table. DC have won their last 2 games quite convincingly, so I just can't see them stumbling against MI in their game in hand. So despite the fact that RCB have won this game, I still think they won't be able to qualify for the playoffs. But they should still be happy with this win, I think. About 8 wins and 6 losses. Something that they'll be disappointed with is that even though they've achieved 16 points in the season, which is a good points to accumulate in the group stage, and honestly with that you should qualify, I think their net run rate has let them down in this case. I mean, 2 losses especially drove their net run rate to the ground. 1 loss, I think the bowling was top class from SRH in the 68 all out, but I think in the game before this one against Punjab, that loss made qualifying a lot harder than it would have been, I think. That's because of that loss, they came into this game with a net run rate of minus 0.323. Delhi's net run rate is 0.255 in the positive. That's just a bit more than 0.5 of a difference. And so if these 2 teams are on 16 points, then competing with kind of a competition between net run rate is out of question, because of course DC would win that with how things would go. And I don't think this game would have affected that at all, because if you thrashed the opposition team, you'd probably get a 0.2 or 0.3 increase, not a 0.5. So I think that RCB did what they could and they won this game today, and now they just have to hope that DC stumble against MI, but I honestly don't think they will. Regarding the 11s of both teams, 1 change for each team. Lockie Ferguson in for Ozari Joseph in the Gujarat side, and for RCB, Siddharth Kaul in for Mohammad Siraj. Now, for the latter change, you could look at this in 2 ways. One, it made sense because Siraj has been giving runs on a consistent basis this season. But on the other hand, I think RCB, with that change, they lost out on the new ball threat that Siraj offers. I think him and Hazelwood bowling in tandem with the new ball, especially in these conditions where the ball does move around early on, I think that would have been a hard proposition to score off. I think in this case with the new ball, there was a lot more onus on Hazelwood. And Siddharth Kaul gave 14 runs in his first over and went for 43 in his 4 overall. So he didn't have a great day today. And I think having Siraj in the side, they would have been able to take advantage of the conditions more alongside Hazelwood. And if they'd bowled in preferably 3 overs at least up front, then that would be maximizing his strengths and it would be good for the team. And that's the reason why I thought that it was... they kind of made this change in a hope that Siddharth Kaul wouldn't give too many runs, but he went at above 10 over today. And the Titans won the toss and chose to bat first. Now, the moment this happened, I thought this would be very difficult for RCB to win this game. They proved me wrong in the end, but I thought if the Titans got that 160-odd score, which they did, despite the fact that this was a different situation, RCB folded when chasing a 200-odd score in their previous game, and a game that, as I've said at the start of this video, it put them in a bit of jeopardy coming into this game. And yes, they chased this score down clinically in this game, but I thought with GT posting that 160-odd score, it would be quite difficult for RCB on a pitch that wasn't easy to bat on by any means, and that to a quality attack that the Titans have. And I think RCB did really well putting pressure on the Titans in the first 9 overs of their innings, especially 62 for 3 within the first 9 overs. Shubman Gill being dismissed for 1, an excellent catch in the slips by Glenn Maxwell. Matthew Wade being dismissed for 16 off 13. Now, he was quite unlucky in his dismissal because the umpire had given it out on the field, and when he reviewed chose to review the decision, there was a deflection, I think, from the bat to pad, but Snicko didn't pick up on it, and in the end, the decision stayed as out. And yeah, he kind of threw a bit of a temper tantrum in the kind of in the change room. He has been reprimanded for that. And I understand why he was upset, because you've got to start and you wouldn't want yourself to be dismissed in a way that was quite avoidable. And two, he hasn't found fluency at all throughout this tournament when he has got an opportunity, and he's played quite a few games. So I think now that he's got to start 16 of 12, and he would have been looking to cash in. And with the way that he got out, I think I understand why he was as upset as he was. And Ridhwan Saha, after batting so well, he was on 31 of 22, and kind of ball watching cost him his wicket. There was a run there, but when he was setting off, he spent too much time watching the ball rather than just solely focusing on getting to the striker's end. And with that, he had a few yards to catch up on, and really there was a direct hit from Faf du Plessis. So 62 for 3, and RCB were putting pressure on the Gujarat Titans, and that's why I thought that because of the start that they got, RCB were in kind of pole position to limit what the Titans would get as their overall total. There was a partnership between Hardik Pandya and David Miller, who I think has scored close to 400 runs this season. For someone batting at number 5, that's a brilliant contribution for a season. And that too, I think he scored 250s in his last 7 seasons in the IPL. And with the consistency that him and Rahul Tewati have been performing at this season, I think that they are they've been the best finishing duo with the bat in this season. And yeah, I think as I've said before, I think after the auction, GT had received a bit of criticism from kind of from outside. As looking at the squad, you thought the batting would be a bit fragile, but it's been quite a pleasant surprise to see the likes of Miller and Tewati perform so consistently. And yeah, I mean, 400 runs season for Miller, I honestly did not expect it at all. And batting at number 5 has been outstanding for the Gujarat Titans. And so that 61 run partnership kind of steadied the ship. And luckily, after David Miller was dismissed, RCB did come back into the game, I think, for 1 or 2 overs. And you'd think that that probably slightly put the brakes on the Gujarat Titans overall. I think 168 was still quite a good score on the surface, but it could have been slightly more had David Miller not been dismissed when he was dismissed, and also Tewati was dismissed soon as well. So I think with those 2 wickets, RCB did put the brakes on kind of what the total did look like being at the end of 20 overs. And Hardik Pandya, 62 of 47, an unbeaten knock from him. Towards the end, he did hit some kind of boundaries, especially the 6 over mid wicket of the bowling of Josh Hazlewood. But Rashid Khan, I thought, really helped him out. 19 of 6 at the end. They probably bowled slightly worse to Rashid Khan in the 6 balls than they did bowl to Hardik Pandya. But considering that they had lost 2 quick wickets, that too of the inform finishers in their side, I think that Rashid Khan's 19 of 6 was a brilliant performance from him. And 168 for 5 was, I thought, quite a good score on the surface. And the RCB bowlers, as I said, none for 43 in his 4. I think that they lost out on the potency with a new ball that Siraj would have offered. And yeah, Siddharth Kaur gave runs throughout his kind of quota of 4 overs. And I think something which RCB would take into consideration is that Harshal Patel went off the field earlier on, I think because of a split webbing injury. He only bowled 1 over for 6 runs. And they managed to relatively restrict the Titans from what it looked like the score would be at the end of 20 overs. And considering one of their 2 death bowlers, who would have bowled 3 overs at the death in this case, wasn't available at the end of the innings, I think 168 for 5 was probably a good effort from the bowlers, for considering that Hazelwood started off well but was expensive in the end, and 2 for 39 in his 4. And Glenn Maxwell has effectively been the second spinner for this side, 1 for 28 in his 4, and has been very good with the ball. And I honestly did not expect Hasaranga to be this good. I thought 10 crores for him when he gets Chahal for 6 crores, about 6.75 crores. I thought they slightly overpaid for him. And with the bat, he hasn't really offered too much at all. He probably has offered, well, almost what Chahal would have offered this season. Yes, Chahal hasn't batted as much as Hasaranga, but he certainly hasn't offered really any real notable contribution with the bat. But with the ball, he's been outstanding, and he's a contender for the purple cap. So I didn't expect him to have such a good season, and once again, 1 for 25 in his 4 from him. And RCB had to bat well to chase this score down, and they did exactly that. As I said in the start of the video, another case, well, the third case this season where on the rare occasions that they've lost a game, on 3 of those 4 losses, the Gujarat Titans bowling, when defending a score, they have looked a bit flat, and today was just one of those days. I don't think this will be a case going forward in however many games they play kind of more this season. But today, as I said, it was a combination of the bowlers probably weren't at their best, and the RCB top 3 were outstanding. Virat Kohli 73 or 54. It was so great to see him back in kind of, I'd say, since he scored 2 50s against GT this season, this one and the 58 or 53. I think with the first 50 in the Brabant Stadium especially, yes, RCB made a game out of it in the end, I thought. But you would have thought 58 or 53 in that situation, was it the greatest innings? You wouldn't really say it was. I think it was great for RCB that after the 240 odds that he got at the start of the tournament, Virat Kohli was getting back into the runs. But I think in this case, it was an outstanding knock from him. 73 or 54. And after getting an opportunity, kind of when Rashid Khan dropped the catch at square leg off the bowling of Hardik Pandya, Kohli really capitalized on that. And I thought the shots of his innings are when he hit boundaries off Rashid Khan down the ground. I think it was something that before the Punjab game where he scored 20 or 14, I don't think you would have really seen him doing too much from the last 40 odd that he got until probably you could say even this game. So yeah, I think that he was very animated throughout this game in the field and with the bat. He was cheering after every boundary, and when the 100 partnership was brought up, both the batsmen kind of embraced in the middle. So yeah, I think that a very good innings from him today. Du Plessis also playing his part, 44 of 38, and Glenn Maxwell 40 of 18. That innings was vital, and I actually thought he could have got them out of the match, because I think towards the end of the first wicket partnership, the run rate was getting on the kind of 9 and over and above. RCB were only getting 8 runs and over at that stage, so slightly under par as far as the required run rate is concerned. And that's the reason why I think, especially the likes of Sai Kishore, none for 20 in his 4 overs. He's kind of the only really economical one today. Maybe Rashid Khan, 2 for 32 in his 4. You wouldn't really say it was too bad considering the situation either. But apart from that, the bowlers didn't really, you wouldn't say they were too economical today from the Titans' point of view. But I still thought towards the latter stages of the first wicket partnership, they managed to kind of create some kind of scoreboard pressure. And regarding Kohli's innings, something which was really important from him today was that I think this would have followed the template of a Virat Kohli T20 innings that I've mentioned quite a few times. He goes aggressively in the power play, slows down from over 7 to 15, and then would go kind of hammer and tongs at the end. And I think today, even when he slowed down, he kind of scored at around the 8 and over mark, just above 8 and over. And I'm saying this was important because Glenn Maxwell scored 40 of 18, and it was required to ensure a pretty comfortable win for RCB in the end. But the run rate was above 9 overs, the required run rate. And I think it was important that Kohli didn't slow down further than he did. He still stuck at around the 8 and over mark because it would have put more pressure on Glenn Maxwell. So I think with Kohli and du Plessis setting it up, Maxwell playing an outstanding knock, 40 of 18 balls, 5 fours and 2 sixes. And yeah, I think that the Hardik Pandya over, his third over, probably ensured that RCB would win the game. I was a bit confused as to why he bowled that over. I mean, Lockie Ferguson had 3 overs left at that point. In the post-match presentation, when they interviewed the losing captain, Hardik Pandya said that since the service was on the slower side, he bowled the spinners in the middle and reserved Lockie Ferguson for the death. But then he didn't actually bowl him at the crucial time, and his over probably ensured that RCB won the game. So, yeah, that was on that. And despite the fact that it was a good win for RCB, I still don't think they will qualify for the playoffs. I just can't see Delhi losing to MI in there with kind of in their game in hand. And for GT, they will finish on the top of the table. And I think apart from our side, Kishore, there wasn't really too many positives that they could take from the bowling today. But I don't think this will kind of be something that we will see in the playoff stage. I think they'll be much better than what they were today. Also, SRH and Punjab have been knocked out of the tournament as well with this win. And the only 2 teams that are kind of contending for 4th place now are the Royal Challengers Bangalore and the Delhi Capitals. So I think tomorrow's CSK versus RR. Let's see how that goes. And personally, I RR would win it. I think, despite the fact that they're probably they're not a complete team by any means, but I think in the Brabant Stadium, with the players like Butler, Samson, and the 2 spinners as well, Trent Bolt, I just think that they've got players who can just influence the game, that they can probably kind of carry the team on their own when they do fight. And CSK got some excellent players as well, but I just think RR, with what we've seen this season, they seem more likely to have those few players to stand up and kind of give them the win. So that's on that. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, please share it with your friends, and remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?